Man, sure feels like I've been doing this for a while. Uh, that's weird. Oh no, I think I'm in the kingdom that makes you old. Or maybe it's the rocks? The final day of reveals just concluded, and we have so many relics. We have a bonus tier that we didn't even know about. There were some people who thought there would be an 8th tier. And you know what? You're right. Good job. Here's a clap for you. But there's a lot to cover, so let's go ahead and jump into the first relic. Equilibrium is back. I told you guys, I made a video and a half talking about Equilibrium. I actually, you know what I want to see right now before we do this? How well did my artistry do? Does it look like how I made it? Okay, besides the cracks, I think I got literally every detail this right. I'm gonna give myself a little personal pat on the back. You know, Equilibrium's not that exciting, so I'm gonna bring some excitement to it. But anyway, Equilibrium is exactly what you expect it to be. Every time you gain XP, you gain additional XP equal to 10% of your total level. So if you have a 2k total level, that means you're getting bonus 200 XP. And this stuff is not affected by your league's multiplier. And your lowest skill gets 20% instead of 10%. It does also work with Production Master, which we'll get into later. That is a relic. So anytime you would be getting XP, it's going to affect it. There's really not that much to say about this. It is in a different tier now. It doesn't compete with the 2 different spots that I thought it may have been in. It competes against Golden God and Reloaded. So at tier 4, you might want to be getting some bonus XP to really propel you later into the game and get your tasks done quicker. Or you could take the other 2 things that are focused on getting your skills up. At tier 7, Pocket Kingdom competes with Grimoire and Overgrown, and this thing is crazy. I love the idea of this. This is another little wacky leagues thing where it's like, this thing is just so different. Like, Grimoire's strong, but it's pretty obvious what it does, and it's not like game breaking or like, it's an item that seems like it could exist in the main game in some capacity. Whereas Pocket Kingdom is so just insane. But here, let me read it. So you receive Pocket Kingdom. This allows full access to managing Miscellania from anywhere. Now, looking at the Discord, this is not NPC contact with Miscellania. You do not need Fremnik. It is literally in your pocket. This is a Tamagotchi. The other important thing looking at the same Discord thing, Pocket Kingdom will take maintenance gold every hour. This thing is super fast, but you do still have to pay for it. So back to the actual page, workers will work for 50% less coin, always have max appeal. You know, you can't go in there and and start woodcutting or anything. It's in your pocket, silly. They produce twice as many resources and accrue resources every hour instead of every day. So this is just so much more than doing Miscellania. If you thought that that was a cool little bonus for Fremnik, look at this. You might want to do both, honestly. This is insane. And I'm definitely going to do a deeper dive on this. So let's go to the wiki and look at managing Miscellania. Now, if you're not familiar with Miscellania, you get this little map where you can assign workers to different spots. And depending on how many people you put there, that increases or decreases the amount of resources you get from there. So if you want to put, like in this picture, all the way up to fishing, you're gonna get a ton of fishing, but they're not getting any wood. So you kind of got to balance out what you really want, but there is kind of like an optimal way to do it. Some of these you really aren't getting a lot out of. So let's look at the reward table. Herbs, there's a bunch of different herbs. You can get Terramin, Harlander, Ranarweed, Irrit Leaf, Avanto, Quarm, Cantadine, Lantadime, and Dwarfweed. That was just a test to see if I pronounced everything right. If I got it wrong, let me know. I'm sure I said one of them weird. Actually, I know someone will let me know already. You guys don't have to. And you can also get flax. And you can see the maximum amount you can normally get through this. This is without the league's modifiers, obviously. And there's also secondary loot, so you can get some seeds whenever you pick this too. The fishing one is pretty whatever, especially in leagues. Tuna and swordfish. But the secondaries, you can get some gems and caskets, just some weird stuff. It's normally not a lot. For mining, you might want coal, especially if you're not doing power miner. You might want to accumulate a bunch of this to be able to use for smithing. Unfortunately, with this being a later tier, you also probably are going to be able to just get coal drops from places or be able to actually buy them from some shops. So it's probably not too big of a deal. If you're not picking lumberjack, you might want to be able to have some logs around just to get fire making or fletching. Fire making is actually probably a big one. If you don't have Wintertide, you probably want logs for that. You can do some other fletching methods, but you kind of just need logs for fire making. You can also get some bird's nests from doing this too. And then depending on your regions, this might be the most exciting thing. You can pick hardwood, which means teak logs and mahogany logs which can get you a ton of construction XP because they give you a fair bit. Once a day, you can get 301 teaks. So with this modifier going off, you're going to stack up a crazy amount of these. And then you can get various farm seeds, but there's also a calculator for this. So you can see on here, we'll just do 1 day, maxed out our favor. We've done Royal Trouble. I don't know if Royal Trouble's automatically done on this or not. I'm assuming it is. So because of the way these modifiers work, how we're actually going to figure out what we're getting every single day is they produce twice as many and they work every hour instead of every day. So we're getting twice as many and we're doing 24 instead of 1. So you're effectively getting 48 days at once. So now the calculator goes from looking something like this in 1 day to looking something like this, which is absolutely insane. Now you are going to have to pay for it, but it's not going to be as expensive on leagues. Now I believe the way this reward table set up is if you filled out everything in one specific category. So if you maxed out your workers on wood, you would end up having 428 bird's nest and 42,000 maple logs in 1 day. Or you could get 26,000 coal and 130 gems. Or you can get 21,000 tuna, 6,000 swordfish, and a bunch of other random stuff. And you can get the same amount of fish cooked. Now onto what's actually probably important for you to get. All these herbs. Look at how many herbs and the different seeds you can get. That is really good. 192 ranar weed. I would like that. And if you want to use the lunar spellbook, or if you're going to take something that could somehow process all of your stuff at once, wink wink, then you have 60,000 flax, which is like 900k XP, which since this is a tier 7, that means you have a 16 times multiplier, so it's actually 14.4 million XP if you go through all this. And of course, it gives a little bit of seeds, but you know, you should probably take a different one if that's what you want. And the hardwood's insane. 10k mahogany, 14,000 teak logs. Mahogany turns into 1.5 mil construction XP without the multiplier and 24 million XP at this tier. And then I'm gonna be so real, I have no idea how good taking these seeds are. There's a ton of them. You get a lot of junk, but there's definitely some good stuff in here. This is, of course, competing with overgrown though, so that means you're going to have to manually plant all this, so maybe not the best thing unless you're looking for something specific in here. I do think Pocket Kingdom is very, very interesting and very enticing. It is unfortunate that it's so late in the game, because I think that means for a lot of people it's not going to be their like primary thing that they're trying to grab onto to really propel them up the tiers, since you're already towards the end of the tiers. But going for like a max cape or getting just an insane amount of supplies, this is gonna do so much. And that was only with 10 workers, because you can only assign 10 people to any given thing. I don't know if they're changing it to 15, but you should be getting another 5 in another category as well. Now, Treasure Arbiter. Now, before I start on Treasure Arbiter, I do need to go ahead and pull up the Discord. The number and points for clue-related league tasks this year have been toned down. That's very important to remember. So this thing is not going to go quite as crazy as it did last league's, but still has a lot of potential. You gain the following benefits when clue hunting. Imbling jars and creatures that drop clue scrolls have a 1 out of 15 chance of dropping them now. Any of your skilling stuff like clue nests, clue bottles, and clue geodes are found 10 times more often now. And remember, they're automatically stacking as well. All clue scrolls have the lowest number of steps possible for their tier. Emote, Fallow, and Charlie clue steps no longer have item requirements. That could be really big. And every clue scroll casket will roll the maximum amount of rewards it can give. Beginners are 3, easy are 4, mediums 5, hard and elite are 6, and masters roll 7 times. If you like clue scrolls, this is going to be big. If you're taking Clue Compass, you might want to consider it. Clue Compass might be good enough on its own. And if you have gear locked behind some of this stuff, if you need like some blessed d'hide for your range setup or just to get around God Wars easier, this might be something to consider. It is at tier 5 though, so you may have already done a bunch of clues depending on how you want your playstyle to be. This might not be quite as effective as if you took it earlier. And now onto the second tier 5, Production Master. Smelting ore, smithing bars, and making cannonballs. All that stuff processed right at once. Fletching logs, stringing bows, making arrow shafts, and cutting bolt tips all at once. Making headless arrows, regular arrows, bolts, and darts are faster, but it's capped at 10 times the regular amount per action. You do still have to like actually click on it. Otherwise, that would be kind of insane to just have massive stacks that instantly go away. You know, the other ones are kind of balanced by not being stackable. Cleaning herbs and making potions which do not have a stackable second ingredient. Instantly done. Cooking food, making pies or pizzas, and making jugs of wine. Immediately processed. Crafting leather, uncut gems, glass blowing, jewelry, pottery, battle staffs, and spinning flax or wool. Immediately done. To recap the skills that they just listed, we got smithing, fletching, herb lore, cooking, and crafting are all incredibly easy now. So if you're able to get some of the supplies, but using them is actually kind of tedious, like you have a large amount of flax, well, guess what? You can go ahead and just immediately do inventories full of them, and then you can immediately string bows and just blast through it. I could see someone being able to get a really large amount of herbs from some of the different relics and regions, but maybe it's a little harder to make some of the potions. So just immediately being able to clean them, that gives XP. So if you're getting like 2,500 herbs from Miscellania a day, and you have friendly forager and you're getting like 500 herbs an hour, like you can see not even making potions can get your herb lore up really, really high. And then the last on the list, Slayer Master. This is another one of those things where I'm like, this is such a crazy thing. Not in terms of like, oh my gosh, this is the strongest and your account's gonna be busted, but it's just like the concept of this is so like lore breaking, maybe is how I would describe it, instead of game breaking. Like you just feel badass being able to do this. You are a Slayer Master now. Like this is something I always wanted as like a kid, like seeing a Slayer Master, and I'm like, dude, I'm way stronger than that Slayer Master. Come on, I should be the Slayer Master. Well, guess what? You can be the Slayer Master now. Now, my first decree as Slayer Master would be always on task for all slayable monsters. And a note from the Discord says that this applies to any monster that gives XP if it were assigned as a task. This can also work for Echo bosses. So, Mauritania stocks going up. Slayer Master does not give you access to a Slayer Helm or Black Mask without Mauritania, and the helm will work on all eligible monsters. Another cool little thing is in the main game, you normally have to do Zuck one time to be able to get him assigned as a task. Here, it applies to your first Inferno KC. So you're getting another layer of damage on top of everything that you have with your crazy combat masteries. And then you also unlock all Slayer task perks for free. You get Rune Pouch, Herb Sack, and Looting Bags in the point store for free. You can skip and block any task for free because you're the one assigning it. And then a nice little bonus to actually go out of your way and do some of the Slayer monsters that you wouldn't necessarily pick on your own. You gain 1,000 to 15,000 bonus Slayer XP the first time you kill the 100th of each unique Slayer monster scaled by the monster Slayer level requirement. And that is before the multipliers hit. There are a lot of crazy different interactions with all these new relics. Oh my gosh, I don't know exactly what I want to pick. My gut reaction is that two of them are crazy in the way they just like change how you view the game. And that would be Pocket Kingdom and Slayer Master. I don't think they're objectively broken or like the most strongest, but they're just like nuts conceptually. And I really, really like that. For me personally, I have been thinking about taking Overgrown for a while now, so I think picking Pocket Kingdom would be kind of hard for me, but it sounds really fun. So I'm gonna have to think about it for a while. But in the meantime, if you guys want to subscribe, maybe like tomorrow, I'll try to come out with a video talking about the combos I want to do with my relics and regions. And we can, you know, try to plan some stuff out together. Let me know if I missed anything, if there's any crazy interactions that you thought of, or that one of these relics now solves a huge problem you had in your plans. I'd love to hear about it all. And until the next one, take care. Goodbye.